Good evening and welcome to the January 7th, 2025 City Council meeting. I am calling this meeting to order. It is 7 p.m. Thank you for joining us. Our first item on the agenda is the invocation, which will be led by our City Attorney, Tom Trask, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
Heavenly Father, we come humbly before you to ask your divine guidance and help in our deliberations this evening. Bless the members of this council and the citizens that are present. We pray that our work this evening will find favor in your sight. This we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tom. Great job as always. First item on our agenda is the Oldsmar Open Forum. If you would like a member of the city staff to follow up on a comment or question made at the meeting, please fill out a comment card at the back table with your contact information and give it to the city clerk. Each speaker will be recognized once and will be limited to a 5-minute comment on any subject that is not scheduled for a public hearing. The open forum will conclude at 7:30 p.m. If you have filled out a speaker card, please hand it to the city clerk. Filling out a speaker card is not mandatory, and you will still be given the opportunity to speak. When speaking, please state your name and your address for the record. Are there any persons wishing to be heard? Start over on this side. Anybody? Come on up.
Hello, Amber Stevens, 318 Lafayette Boulevard. Good evening, Happy New Year. Just wanted to give a friendly reminder that we have our Oldsmar Parks and Rec survey. We have 12 days to fill this out, so you can do it through this QR code, you can do it online, or do the paper survey. So there is 13 questions, just different ones, just probably the ones you've seen before, like, are you a resident? What do you like about our parks? And the money question is, I think it's number 6. What would you do if you have all the money, unlimited money, to spend on our parks? So that's a good question, one of my favorites. So just wanted to share that with you, and thank you for having me. And I hope to get reappointed tonight.
All right.
Thanks, Amber.
Anybody else on that side? How about this side? Mike, you want to come up first?
How do you turn it on? Oh,
The speaker over there is on. You should keep.
okay. Well, I'll go with this. We'll try it. Good evening. My name is Mike McKnight. If you don't know me, I am one of the board members of Oldsmar Cares. So I'm here representing Oldsmar Cares on State Road 580 tonight. I actually live in Palm Harbor. I'm here to talk about the 15th annual Oldsmar Cares Gala, which is just over a month from now on February 6th. It's a little early this year, February 6th. And I want to talk a little bit about the theme. If you've gotten an email with it, it says it's a crystal gala, and then it says an evening in white. So the crystal gala is because it's the 15th annual gala. So in modern anniversary thing, crystal is the 15th anniversary. So it's crystal, but it is an evening in white. So right now I'm sporting what not to wear. Look, what not to wear that night. I don't have my costume. We would love everyone to be in white. Really white out type event would be great. That's what we're going for. The room will be likewise. So we encourage everybody to be in white for that night.
Or you will stand out.
Okay, so I want to give a little summary of 2024. Obviously, we all know 2024 was a really challenging year for Oldsmar and for Oldsmar Cares. We do want to thank and appreciate all the individuals, the companies, the organizations, and our volunteers who did an unbelievable response to the 2 hurricanes from the beginning of October and forward, even to today. We are still responding to people in need from those events. So we've been able to respond because of all those that have helped us. And with this gala, we want to be able to continue to respond in 2025. So what we're asking for, obviously, is for individuals or companies to attend the gala. We have sponsorships available, as usual, for tables at the event, or we just posted that we have individual tickets now on sale as well. Both are available through our website. But also, if you are an individual or a company and you have something you could auction, you could contact me or any of other of our board members. It could be an individual item. It could be an experience. We had somebody that's doing a kayaking tour of the bayou area with us. So that's a great new item that we haven't had before. So anything would be appreciated. And that's really all I have to say. Anybody have any questions?
Any questions for Mike? Thanks for coming out. Look forward to the 15th annual.
Thanks.
All right, anybody else on this side of the room would like to speak to the council? Oh, you want us to go, Steve? Come on up, Steve.
Do I have to speak to this or into this? This okay?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. My name is Stephen Phillips. I live at 513 Tangerine Drive in Harbor Palms. The reason I'm up here today is the entranceway to Harbor Palms. Back in, well, sometime last year, September, October, August, I called actually I came down to City of Oldsmar here, and I went to the engineering department to find out about the light that didn't work at the entrance to Harbor Palms, which is extremely dark at night, and you can't find your way into it. And I left a message there for somebody to call me back. The next day, I got a phone call from somebody from engineering, and they told me that the city doesn't own that light. And I also asked about the appearance of that island there in the entranceway, and they told me the city doesn't own that. They told me the county owns that little island of land there that looks like a disaster zone, and that they didn't own the light. So I said, okay. I said, well, do you know who owns it? He goes, the county owns it. I said, okay, well, that doesn't make sense to me, but he was quite adamant that the city of Oldsmar did not own that section of land. So I called the county, it wasn't right away, a couple of days or whatever, and I spoke to somebody down at the county, and the girl said, no, we don't own the land, and she was quite adamant. She was in charge of knowing about that, and she said, no, City of Oldsmar owns it. She says, you haven't called me, whoever told you that, you haven't called me, and I'll tell them. The county doesn't own that, the City of Oldsmar does. I said, what about the light? She says, I don't know who owns the light. She said it might be, you know, the state or the DOT or whatever. So I said, okay. Well, a couple of days later, I called the city manager. And I said, let me go to the city manager and find out who owns it. I left a message with the assistant, and she said she'd find out and let me know. Well, 2 weeks went by, still hadn't had an answer. So I called back. And again, I wanted to find out about the light, which was my main concern, and also about the property there, the condition of it. And she said she hadn't found out yet, but she'll let me know. Well, a day later, I get a call from somebody from I guess municipal department in Oldsmar. Gentleman says, well, he says, I went down there and physically looked at the light. He says, we don't own it. He said, it's owned by TECO. I said, oh, okay. I said, well, do you know when they're going to fix the lights? He goes, no, we don't know. It's up to TECO. I said, okay. I said, well, do you have any idea when it would be fixed? He said, no, it's up to them. That was it. I said, okay. Still hadn't had an answer on the property. This is now January 1st, and I still haven't had an answer about that property. I don't know if anybody goes down the entrance to Harbor Palms, but it looks like something from an end-of-the-world disaster zone. And my question is, if the county doesn't own it, and the city doesn't know if they own it, or if they don't want to claim it, is there any way I can adopt that little section of land and clean it up so people can find the way into the entrance without running into a pole or a bush and make it look presentable? I mean, I don't take life serious. I kind of take it as a joke, but I've lived there since '84. The development's been there since the '70s, and for the city not to know who owns it or who owns the light or anything about it is kind of ridiculous. So I'm just curious. The light pole's still sitting there, laying on the ground for 4 weeks now. So that's my question. Is there something happening with it? Does the city own it, or what the case is?
Someone from the city will get back with you, Steve.
Did you?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
I know all about that property, that piece of land. We painted the sign years ago, but someone from the city will get back with you, and and if you want to call me, I can also give you some information on that.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Yep, thank you for coming out. Appreciate it
Okay.
very much. Gary, come on up.
Jerry Beaverman, 512 Pine Avenue South. Is that where the sign is?
I'm sorry?
Is that where the sign is?
Harbor Palms?
Yes.
The big
Yeah.
pole? Yeah.
We own that. We've owned it ever since
Yep,
1973, 1971. In the city, if somebody has a light out that Tico owns, you people can call the citizen doesn't have to call Tico. You can call Tico and they'll come out and fix it. That answer your question?
Yep.
Y'all got my letters. I won't go into that much, but I'm gonna tell you this. What I wrote in that letter, I mean. I'm not gonna stop, okay? I'm not stopping. We will get a walkway of freedom at Veterans Park. And we will have the Historical Society down in the library, as was said they would be. And I'm not stopping, and you know how I am. You've shaved your beard off.
Santa's gone.
You know what happened to Samson? He lost his-
Santa? No, what happened to him?
You know what happened to Samson?
Oh, no. I thought you said Santa.
He lost all his power.
Oh,
When I quit managing the Winn-Dixie, I said I'll never shave again. But as old as I am now, I don't have the beard I used to have. And I am proud to say this is not what I come in to say, but there's 4 parks in this city that are because of me, Tom. 4 parks. I made the motion to build Canal Park, which is now Oldsmar's sports complex, when the mayor about fell off his chair and said, we can't afford it. And I said, Mayor, I just made a motion to build it. Can I get a second? And I got 2 or 3 seconds. And 1 month later, we started building Canal Park. We have Veterans Park because of me. And there's 2 other parks in this city that I initiated. The parks are very important. Code enforcement needs to drive up and down some streets. We got fences all over this town falling down and everything else. The big gavel I'm talking about, if you read my letter, if you didn't read my letter, that's fine. It's underneath at his feet. And it needs to go to the Historical Society, and each mayor should have his name on it. There's 4 names on it right now. And the 2 items in your office that I said that I want back are, go to the Historical Society. I'll tell you what they are if you want to know, or I can tell you right now. Later or now?
No, you can tell me, yeah.
The big one in the hall, in your office, I bought that 30 years ago. It's the only photograph of Oldsmar in the beginning. It was taken from an airplane, and the other one is in the other office. It's a big one of showing Oldsmar. Irish and I have spent thousands and thousands of hours studying Oldsmar's history, writing books on the history of Oldsmar. Histories of every subdivision in this town. Every subdivision. So people can go down to the library, they want to research anything, all the things I have at my house goes to the library, all the books. They want to research the history of their subdivision, it's there. The city manager had contacted me about the totem pole. She said, well, it's not exactly what you said it was. And I said, what did I say it was? She says, well, the fellow here in town was the stepbrother of the guy who wrote all the books. Anyway, why the totem pole is important to this city is because it stood on the porch of the Oldsmar Elementary School for years. That's why it's important, not by the guy that gave it to him, because it's important because it was given to the school and sat on their porch out front for years. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak to the council? John, come on up.
Happy New Year. My name is John Durrell. I'm an economist. I live in Lemonwood Drive right here in Oldsmar. I just want to say congratulations on the big endorsement, Mayor Dan, from the Sheriff's Department. So they must think you're keeping Oldsmar safe, doing a good job. So congratulations on that. I know that's huge. And I also want to talk about the fire department. They did something that really surprised me in a very heartfelt way. Somehow they found out, maybe through my kids' school or something, that our house had flooded a while back, and my kids lost a lot of their toys. So unbeknownst to me, the fire department took a good chunk of money and got a ton of toys for my kids. And it was so thoughtful because somehow they found out my one son loves Pokemon and the other son loves Legos. So Oldsmar Cares isn't just a slogan. I'm continued to be blown away by how much the people of Oldsmar care, and it's just another example. I was totally surprised. My wife opened the trunk of her Jeep, and it was just full of toys. I said, "What? We got too much toys for the kids this year." But it was so touching. So I just want to say a huge thank you in public to the Oldsmar Fire Department. They're amazing, and just through this whole process, the citizens of Oldsmar and institutions like churches and the fire department have really encouraged me and my family and our neighbors and so many other people I know. So I'm proud to be a part of this community, and Happy New Year.
Thank you for coming out. Anybody else like to speak to the council? Come on up. Welcome.
Thank you. Cindy Olmsted, 507 Arlington Avenue East. And I just wanted to say that I came to give a testimonial to Sean here. He's running for seat 4. And just as a leader, I work with him, and he's a good friend of mine. And I just want to say he's a great guy. I think the city is really looking forward to some exciting things. And with his background in engineering and real estate, I think he's an awesome choice for the city. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy.
Anybody else like to speak to the council? Anybody? All right, with that, we're going to close the Oldsmar Open Forum. And next item on our agenda is the community minute, and this will be read by our city clerk, Kristen Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. So coming up, there is a Stormwater Master Plan Public Information Workshop being held on Tuesday, January 14th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Tico Hall in the library. This is an opportunity to help city staff prioritize Oldsmar stormwater infrastructure projects for the next 10 years. This vital workshop encourages attendees to provide feedback on ongoing stormwater issues in their neighborhood. The Oldsmar Historical Museum is open now, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, from 12 to 4 p.m., or you can email libraryinfo@oldsmarfl.gov to schedule an appointment. And lastly, Touch a Truck is coming up on Saturday, January 18th at the Oldsmar Fire Station from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Great job. Next item is approval of additional new agenda items, and we have a bunch. 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 13, and 14, and I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next is our consent docket, and this will be read by our city clerk, Kristen Garcia.
Consider approval of minutes of December 17th, 2024 council meeting. Item 2, consider appointment of Donna Royer as a regular member of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board to fill an unexpired term expiring on January 16th, 2026. Item 3, consider reappointments of regular members Dave Beinart, Joseph Santana, and Amber Stevens to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Item 4, consider appointment of Samuel Watson as a regular member of the Code Enforcement Board to fill an unexpired term expiring on February 2nd, 2026. Item 5, consider approval of annual purchase of sodium hypochlorite from Odyssey Manufacturing Company under the same pricing terms and conditions as the Tampa Bay Water Cooperative Bid Contract Number 2025-018. Item 6, consider awarding the purchase of a 2025 Ford F-550 regular cab 4x4 pickup truck to Baccarat FT LLC DBA Palmetto Ford of Miami per the pricing terms and conditions of Florida Sheriff's Contract FSA 23-VEH21.1 extension. That's all.
Thank you very much. Does anybody wish to pull any items from the consent docket?
Yes. Item 2 and item 3.
Okay, we're going to pull item 2 and item 3.
Motion to approve items 1, 4, 5, and 6.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Councilmember Gannon, you have item 2.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to note that Ms. Royer is here, and I'd love for her to come up to the podium and say hello to us. Please, welcome. Thank you for coming tonight. Would you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Certainly. My name's Donna Royer, and my husband and I have lived in Oldsmar. I'm trying to think now. I think it's been close to 25 years. Time flies when you're having fun.
Indeed. And you were deciding finally to get involved?
Yes, I am. I'm going to jump right in and get to work.
And I hear you have a list.
I do have a mental list.
That's
yes.
good. That's good. Tell us about your background.
Well, let's see. We moved to Florida in 1970, December of 1977. We lived in Largo, and then after our youngest went to college, we moved to Oldsmar and made this our home.
I hear it involves pianos, though.
Yes, it did. Much piano.
How?
Much piano and much hard work. Yeah, we had our own business, yes.
Very cool.
So, we love it here, and I'm just so happy to meet new people all the time here in Oldsmar. It's
Well,
great.
thank you for your willingness to serve.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
And thanks for coming tonight.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd make a motion to approve the appointment of Donna Royer as a regular member of the Parks and Recreation Board.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Welcome, Donna. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Councilmember Gannon, you have item 3.
And likewise, Ms. Stevens is here, if you'd like to come up. I know you don't have to come up, but, and we all know you, but I feel like when our board members come, right, Mayor, we should acknowledge that they're here, right? Can you tell us any more about what's going on with Parks and Recreation other than the survey?
Well, the big thing right now is the survey, but I'm confident that we're doing a good job on this board. We have a lot of diverse individuals. We have Mr. Steve right here, Donna, who just came in. We're just filling it up, and everyone's working well together. One big thing that we did this year on our board, we had a play box built at Mobley Beach Park. If you've gone down there, you should see it, and it survived the hurricane, so you know it's durable.
Unbelievable.
So what the play box is you put, you have some kids, everyone in here has some kids. You put your toys in there, and other kids can use them, or if you just want to get rid of the toys, just leave them there. Maybe someone will take them. So. So that's one of the big things we did. But yeah, I'm confident that our board's been doing well. I've had the privilege to be the chair this past year, so I've been enjoying it. I've been in good communication with staff, so I'm happy how things are going. Does anybody else have any questions that I could answer?
Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Amber.
Thank you.
Yes, keep up the good work.
All right.
Motion to approve item number 3 as well, Mayor.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? No. All right, Amber,
All right,
thanks for
thank
coming
you.
out. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Next is item 7, and that is to interview the applicants for the library materials reconsideration committee. I guess the only, one of the candidates has, Sharon, has not been able to make it, so we were thinking about maybe tabling this until we get more candidates here.
That's a good idea.
Is that okay?
I would support that, sure, Mayor.
Ginger, are you okay with that? Until we get all 3 so we can hear you? All right, so we're going to table that. So will someone add that to the tentative agenda at the end?
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to table item 7.
All right, second?
I just want to make sure we're tabling to a date certain, otherwise it would be a motion.
Next meeting would be, which is the 17th, I believe, or I don't have a calendar.
Do you want us to postpone it indefinitely until?
23rd.
Maybe we should postpone because I do not know if the applicants are available for the next meeting.
Okay, I withdraw my motion to table and I make a motion to postpone consideration of item 7.
Second.
Okay, thank you. I got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, next item is city attorney, and that is a public hearing. Item 8.
Thank you, Mayor. This is item number 8, a public hearing on second reading of ordinance 2024-20. I'm going to read that ordinance by title only. Ordinance 2024-20, an ordinance of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, amending the limited manufacturing M1 district of Section 5.7.6.2 of the Land Development Code to include the assembly and manufacturing of gun parts and to amend Section 5.7.2 of the Land Development Code to remove arsenals from the list of prohibited uses, providing for conflict, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing an effective date of this ordinance. This is the second reading. The first reading was on December 17th, 2024. There have been no changes to the ordinance, and it's here for your consideration. It's a public hearing, though.
Thank you. This is a public hearing, and I'm going to open the public hearing. Is there anybody that would wish to be heard right now for, against, or for this item? All right. I'm going to close the public hearing. Do we have any questions for staff? Staff is here if we have any. No? All right, then I'm going to close public hearing. I will entertain a motion for approval.
So moved?
Second.
Motion in the second. Any other discussion on this item? All, roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Graber,
Yes.
Councilmember Tadazewski,
Yes.
Councilmember Knapp,
Yes.
Councilmember Gannon,
Yes.
Mayor Siraki.
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-20 is adopted with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Thank you. Item 9.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 9 is consider approving the third amendment to the real estate purchase and sale agreement between the City of Oldsmar and Devin S. Reschnell LLC. You remember that on December 3rd, the City Council approved the amended development agreement with Devin Reschnell LLC. As part of that development agreement, there is a real estate purchase and sale agreement attached to it. It has been previously executed and amended. This is coming back to you for a third amendment to allow the closing date to be extended until October 1st, 2025. And I'd be happy to answer any further questions if you have it.
Okay. And you recommend approval?
I do.
All right. I entertain a motion for approval.
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second. Any other comments or questions for Tom? No, sir. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. Next is City Manager Felicia Donnelly.
Good evening, Mayor. Item number 10 is a presentation of the update of the Stormwater Master Plan. Daniel Simpson is here to give the presentation, Public Works Director.
All right.
I'm Daniel Simpson, Director of Public Works. I have two main goals tonight. One is to hopefully attempt to explain a complex process to you. And second is to improve attendance to our public workshop on the Stormwater Master Plan. This won't be a presentation of results, that will come later, or if you were to come to the meeting. So again, we talked about it earlier, the Stormwater Master Plan workshop is next Tuesday at Tico Hall from 6 to 8. This meeting, we will be talking about priorities and flooding areas. So we really want feedback. Our last meeting, we had 3 residents attend, so we'd like more than that. We'd like the number of staff to not exceed the number of residents. So, okay, so why would we complete a stormwater master plan? This is to advance City Council's goals and priorities. Okay, so we have you've provided us goals of quality of place, environmental resiliency, effective community engagement, fiscal responsibility, and public safety. This lines up with all of those that I just mentioned. And priorities, we want to expand community engagement and determine future infrastructure needs through master planning. Second, we want to improve tools to help make stormwater management decisions. We want to prioritize our projects to maximize return on our investment, improve CRS rating, that's the community rating system, and position the city for high quality strategic grant applications. So I was thinking how to explain a stormwater master plan for those both in the audience and maybe for you, how to think about this. So if you were just in my position, you're like, how do we decide where to complete stormwater projects? And you just were going to come up with a process from scratch. You probably would do something similar to what I'm just going to describe. So first, you'd probably try to figure out, where does it flood? Next, which you would do that through, well, I'll explain that in a second. The second step would be, which flood areas should we fix first? So where does it flood? Which areas should we fix first? Then what projects can fix the flooding? And how do we pay for it? That's pretty much the master plan in a pretty summarized way. So tonight, though, it'll be a model, priorities, projects, and funding. Okay? I'm going to expand it a little bit, but it's basically the same process, and we're going to go through the steps. So first, we had a project kickoff, then a watershed model update, level of service analysis, CIP development, stormwater utility review, and then there's a CRS ordinance review that's kind of another task that doesn't really fit in the straight process, and then our final report. So the project kickoff, any project we do takes a process just to get started. So in October 18th, 2022, City Council, we had a request to advertise for engineering services to do this work. In January 5th of 2023, we had a selection committee, and Jones Edmonds and Associates was chosen to be the most qualified firm. Over the next several months, we negotiated the scope of work and fee. And then on April 18th, City Council awarded the contract, and we kicked off the meeting at the end of April. So you may be asking, what is a watershed model? It's an analysis of the movement of water through a watershed. So that's helpful, right? Maybe. So the type of model we're doing is it's called a hydrologic and hydraulic modeling, or an H&H model. So this is not a storm surge model, okay? That's a different thing. This is water going to the bay. When the bay is coming back at us, it's a totally different problem. And we address that through our vulnerability assessment and our climate resiliency plan. So what is hydrology? Hydrology is the quantity of water generated in a specific area, including factors like precipitation, infiltration, and evapotranspiration. So precipitation is water coming out of the sky, or maybe tonight snow. Infiltration is water the water going through the soil. Evapotranspiration is the mixture of evaporation, which is water going back into the water cycle, and transpiration, which is plants drinking the water, basically. Hydraulics is the physical properties of water flow, like calculating water depth and velocity within channels and pipes. So hydrology is kind of the big picture. Hydraulics is the specific picture. And a watershed is the drainage area that water moves to a common body of water. So most of our water goes to Tampa Bay through a series of ponds, lakes, pipes. Okay, so what are we doing with the watershed model update? We're going to combine the existing data. So first is the Hydro Network Geodatabase. Those are probably 3 words that don't mean anything to anybody. The Hydro Network is basically all of the pipes, ponds, ditches, every piece of infrastructure that's involved in stormwater citywide. And a geodatabase is basically a database that's GIS located. Does that make sense? So it has GPS points, if you will, and those are correlated to spatially. So we're basically taking the physical world and putting it on a map, and all of the information with it, which is the X, Y, Z. So the spatial area, and then the elevation, because water generally goes downhill unless you pump it. Okay. I'm trying to stay out of the weeds, but I just got way deep in it. I'm sorry. The second thing, they combine environmental resource permits. So there's several SwiftMud permits. We pull that data into our model and use it, because whenever you do an environmental resource permit, it's like you have to do small models for that site. So like there's a small model, and that model is now part of the bigger model. Roadway project plans, land use maps. That's mainly used for water quality calculations. So different land uses have different water quality or nutrients or nitrogen and phosphate. So the water quality is the focus of making sure a bay is healthy. And then soil data and LIDAR data. So I don't know what those letters mean. It's light something. But basically what it is elevation model based on light hitting the ground. So Pinellas County has LIDAR data for the whole county, and it creates a
Topographical.
elevation terrain model, basically. So we have very small, the entire city, we have LIDAR data. Okay, we take all that data, and then we put design storms through it. So you build this database, and then you put the rainfall through it. And I'll explain that part in a second. And then you do what's called calibration and verification. This is where you basically you compare your model results to reality. So you look at actual floods and how closely it matched. So you might be asking, what is a 100-year? A lot of times people throw around these terms, 50-year storm, 100-year storm, and they're meaningless. Okay, so, to most people. The part that's the 24-hour storm, it's the time period that the rainfall is. So we have 100-year 1-hour storms, 2-hour storm, 3, okay? The 100-year is just the percent chance of it happening in any given year. So the 100-year storm has a 1% chance of happening in any given year. This is very confusing to people because they think, well, I mean, I don't know, it hasn't been here in 60 years. That's not really how it is. Because there's a 500-year storm. Well, we don't have 500 years of data if you didn't, hate to break it to you. So it's a statistical probability, not an actual event. So for Oldsmar, the 100-year 24-hour storm is around 11 inches in a day. Okay? So we put all that into this model. That part's really complicated. They will present it at the meeting. And we do what's called a level of service analysis, okay? So this is where we're trying to figure out where does it flood, and what we do is we set a level of service for different roads. So for local roads, it's a 5-year storm, collector, 10-year storm, arterial roads, 25-year storm, and evacuation routes greater than the 100-year storm. So what that means is we say a 5-year storm is unacceptable. Anything like up to that flooding is acceptable in this model framework. Okay? So then what happens is you run the model with these different storm events, and if there's flooding over the center line of the road, then it fails. And the blue have failed areas in those subbasins. Okay? Then what we do is we prioritize those based on the number of people affected by it and the dollars that will be lost if it's flooded. And we normalize it so that basically there aren't a home is a home is a home. So in other words, like the really expensive houses don't get outweighed, and therefore the lesser expensive houses don't get any attention, because if you did it, you could have a mansion mess up the modeling. So we do this modeling, and what I'm about to get to is where we are in the process. So we've had one public meeting to talk about the model and results. The next one is really getting the feedback of like what we've done. Is that acceptable? Does that make sense to you? Like that's what we're at. And we're trying to develop CIPs, so capital improvement projects. So this is where we will host a meeting. And they're going to review 15 of the flood areas and provide conceptual flood control solutions. So this is like high-level project ideas. And we ranked those flood basins based on priority. So from those 15, more detailed projects will be developed and scheduled into a 10-year conceptual capital improvement plan. Okay, so that's the next step. So it's capital projects, then we go to the stormwater utility review. This is where we look at the dollars, the money. So, okay, it's great. You got these projects, how are you going to pay for it? Because again, the idea of this whole thing is we have limited dollars. What's the best bang for our buck? So we're going to review the rates to determine the feasibility of projects. So how much are we bringing in from our stormwater utility fees? And then we're comparing the projected revenue versus cost of planned projects and explore potential funding sources. So again, a lot of these projects, we're getting them set up for grants. We're going to have all the information you need, cost estimates, the water quality benefits, the things that people want to throw money at, we're trying to basically get them ready. The other thing we'll do is a programmatic review, which is where they update our standard operating procedures and review the city's asset inventory and maintenance program. Okay, so like I said, there's one task that's kind of not in the straight line progression, and this is the CRS ordinance review. So the community rating system is the voluntary incentive program that encourages communities to establish a floodplain management program. It recognizes activities that exceed the minimum National Flood Insurance Program requirements. By participating in this program, communities earn discounts on flood insurance premiums. So the floodplain mapping and modeling that we're doing basically leads us to points. Like it's like a key that when we unlock that, a whole world of points open up to us. It's not that magical, but it is fun. Okay. Sorry. This task will provide recommendations for increased points. Okay. So we've been doing public engagement throughout, obviously Facebook posts and things like that, but these are the different either council meetings or public workshops that we've done. So we kind of went through most of the things we've done with council already, but April 11th we had a public workshop. Right now I'm providing a city council update, and we'll have a public workshop next week. And then there'll be a council presentation in May that really summarizes everything. I just kind of wanted to kind of explain where we're at. So the final report is in late spring, as I said. And oh yeah, the stormwater master plan workshop is next week. Please come. Okay. And that's all I have.
Great job. Thank you so much, Dan. Any questions for Dan?
I have,
All right, we'll see you at the open house, I guess.
I have a quick,
Oh,
I have a
oh,
quick,
sure.
sorry,
I'm
I have a quick
Go ahead,
question.
Valerie.
So for your meeting next week, ideally, you'd have somebody from each community or neighborhood that knows what the flooding was like during the last storm so that they could provide feedback to you? Or what, tell me
Ideally-
what kind of feedback you're looking for.
Well, anything. I mean, anything that someone says is going to end up in the final report.
Okay,
We are looking at projects, and we want people to weigh in on what we're thinking.
okay.
Get feedback. Ideally, we would have multiple people from every neighborhood, all over the place, you know. But yes, we have a pretty good idea where it flooded. Like we were here, not being able to drive on the roads, and
Right.
you know. But regardless, we you know, feedback and also the maybe not this past storm, you know, like that we kind of have a good, you know, the hurricanes we have a pretty good idea, but like those once a year floods, that, you know, that the lesser flooding where we're seeing it, we want that feedback. But again, we want our goal is to have this be a heavily engaged process, that we're not just deciding whatever we want, you know.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anything else? All right. We'll see you at the open house. Thank you. Next item is item 11.
Item number 11 is to consider approval to authorize the city manager to execute change order number 4 to the professional services agreement of 2018-12-RFQ for St. Petersburg Drive streetscape and drainage design with Kimley Horn to perform redesign services. On April 2nd, 2024, the City Council authorized the advertisement for procurement of the construction contractor for the St. Pete Complete Streets and Bayview Roundabout project. On May 31st, 2024, the city advertised for bids. Although the process and questions arose that triggered plan and specification revisions, although the plans and specs were observed by 26 plan holders, the city only received one bid on September 5th. The bid received exceeded the engineer's estimates of probable cost by approximately $1.6 million. On analysis of the bids, city staff determined the bid to be unbalanced and recommended to reduce the scope, redesign, and subsequently re-advertise the project in order to reduce the overall cost as well as increase competitiveness. The attached work order is to value engineer the project in order to reduce the scope while ensuring grant compliance. The attached rates were negotiated during the preparation for change order number 3 and were approved by council on June 18th, 2024. The cost for redesign will be not to exceed $37,885. And so staff recommends approval.
Thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion in this second. Do we have any questions or any comments? All right. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 12.
Item number 12 is to consider the approval of special event application fee waiver request and use of the city logo for the Rotary Club of Oldsmar East Lakes Armadillo Run to be held on March 8th, 2025. On March 8th, 2025, the Rotary Club will host its 44th annual Armadillo Run in Oldsmar. Over the years, the club has been recognized as a valued civic organization supporting the local community. Their activities include events at local schools, providing food and gifts for the needy and homeless, supporting local emergency management agencies, providing disaster relief, and supporting local youth. Profits from this race will be utilized by the club to provide services and activities such as Student of the Month at local schools, Thanksgiving and Christmas Adopt-a Family programs, youth mentoring, educational scholarships, wheelchairs for wounded warriors, and other programs. The item requests the waiver of fees in the amount of $3,215. Consistent with the special event guide, the Rotary Club requests that the fees be waived associated with the event. All other external costs, including utility fees of $75, will be the responsibility of the Rotary Club as outlined. The event is anticipated to bring over 400 runners and spectators to the city. And the Rotary Club will recognize the city as a sponsor at the appropriate level and may use the city logo to recognize such sponsorship. The copy of the application is included, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion for approval. Motion and a second. Any discussion on the Armadillo Run? All right.
Running, Andrew? Yeah. Oh, yes, it's
Yeah.
a yes.
I'm gonna do it.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 13.
Item number 13, Mayor, is to consider awarding the purchase and installation of replacement fence material and posts on Field 3 of the Oldsmar Sports Complex to Smith Fence Company per the pricing terms and conditions of Pinellas County Contract 454914, PB 23-036. During Hurricane Milton, sections of the baseball and softball backstop on field number 3 were damaged and destroyed and are in need of replacement to continue the use of the field for baseball and softball activities. Funding in the amount of $27,750 for this purchase is available in the 24-25 budget. Replenishment of these funds will be requested in the February council budget revision. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Any other discussion on $27,000?
Fencing's expensive.
I know. I can't believe how expensive it is.
Backstop's very tall.
It is very tall, but,
Probably need a bucket truck to get up there.
oh,
All right, I have a motion in this second. We've discussed it. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Next item on our agenda is our city clerk, Kristen Garcia. Do you have anything for us?
Thank you, Mayor. I do not have any items this evening.
All right, then we're going to move on to item 14. Consider reappointment of council member Katie Gannon to the Ford Pinellas School Transportation Safety Committee, and this is a new agenda item. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Councilmember Gannon, do you have any updates on that?
our next meeting isn't until we have quarterly meetings, so our next meeting isn't coming up for a little bit. And of course, we have the school safety committee meetings with members of both the school board and other neighboring cities. We also have with us our county commissioner representatives. The biggest thing, as I alluded to last time, the biggest thing we are looking to sort of thwart or at least backstop or get an extension on is compliance with the new statute that changes the start times to make sure that everybody is starting school when the sun is up. And while I appreciate that as a goal, nobody wants the current plan, which is probably the most economical plan, but also to, parents of young children, sort of disastrous, which would be starting school for elementary school students first instead of high school. So in any event, I'll keep you guys updated on that progress. I hope that Pinellas could at least get a reprieve from that, as we are not a low population county with just one elementary school and, high school and middle school. So not as involved.
They also, in your meetings, talk about what Councilmember Knapp brought up about the camera at the elementary school, the people going around the buses. Did they bring that up or no?
Yeah, we kind of co-updated council at a previous meeting, and,
Right.
and we did talk about that during the last school transportation safety committee meeting, and essentially how the program works. They are happy to come and install all of the infrastructure. They do the speed studies. They set up the database. The biggest challenge for a city like ours, though, is that we contract our policing services with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. And although they would have the ability to capture the appropriate data of a speeder, their license plate and the picture and all of that stuff, that is something that could initially be verified by a staff member, but actually would eventually have to be verified by a sheriff's deputy. So, or in other municipalities, perhaps a police officer. So we could certainly consider adding that. I'm sure that the sheriff's office won't do that for free, but we could consider adding that as a piece of our contract with the sheriff's office. The biggest surprise to me, I was like, why? If you guys are fronting all of the infrastructure costs, the speed studies, the implementation of it, what's in it for you guys? And of course, they explained that after the initial period where everybody gets a ticket, then compliance happens, but they are getting their money back in the beginning, where they take a percentage of the fee collected, and a percentage does go to the city. I'm just not sure that that percentage of the fine would cover the cost of the increased maintenance. So, or not maintenance, increased supervision from the sheriff's office. So I think when we last left it, we talked about potentially doing additional research on other Florida-based companies. The vendor that was present at the last school transportation safety committee meeting was not from Florida. And there were others that I think you had heard about. But in any event, there is a cost to it for us. It's not.
The reason why I brought up, a vendor contacted me,
Yeah.
and I think he contacted all of us.
Yeah.
And he keeps calling, and I'm like, that's not me, that's you.
Yeah, it's the same gentleman who came to,
Okay.
to the meeting. And he's a wonderful guy, a great resource. I'm just not sure that it works for Oldsmar because of the way we have our enforcement through the sheriff's
Gotcha.
office.
Well, thank you for explaining that.
Sure, yeah, and I'm sure they'd be happy to come and explain more to us if we want to get, hard data on what it would actually cost.
All right.
I would add, just, I think Executive Director Bland with Ford Pinellas was willing to help partner with us to explore the feasibility of that. So that's where I think we kind of last left off
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
we can look at options, and he would be willing to work with our staff to figure that out and see if it's worth bringing something forward. That's
All
where
right,
we
well,
last
thank you for that, both of you, appreciate it. Next item is council comments, and we're gonna start out with,
We should
Oh.
probably vote on that.
oh yeah, thank you for reminding me.
forgot to.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Tom. Thank you for catching that. Next item is council comments, and we're starting out with Councilmember Andrew Knapp.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just be brief. I'm excited for another year's service up here on the council, and looking forward to having a happy and healthy new year throughout the entire year, not just this week. So that's all I have.
All right, Councilmember Gannon.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to everybody. I am honestly so excited for the Touch a Truck event on January 18th. I remember the first year that we did it, and just a few people came, and it was like a quiet, little regional thing, and now we have people from all over come to our Touch a Truck event. And Chris Coppola was the one, I think, who built the tiny little firehouse where the kids could shoot the hose through the windows at the pieces of fire. And I really appreciate our city staff working with the public and putting on that event. Do be careful when parking and driving prior to the event. There are a lot of kids that are going to be there, including mine. So I'm really looking forward to that. Oldsmar Cares Gala was already discussed. There is another food hall distribution this weekend at Tico Hall by the Oldsmar Alliance to support the hurricane relief efforts. I know there are, as was mentioned, there are still people out there hurting financially, hurting for supplies, or trying to, get back into their homes or repair their homes, waiting on permits. So it's important we don't forget them. Other than that, I'm just so grateful for all of the events we had throughout December. It was fantastic. Thank you to our city staff for wonderful, wonderful holiday season. I understand from the city manager that the city was actually featured in the Florida Recreation and Parks, it's FRPA, Florida Parks and Recreation. It's a magazine. For our incredible Winter Wonderland events. We must be on their radar now because we've gotten awards now, and now we're getting featured in articles with other larger cities. So it was really cool to see Oldsmar featured alongside other cities who, put on winter events. The snow in the south, although this week it does feel like it may actually snow. So anyway, other than that, happy
All
New Year,
right,
everyone.
thank you very much. Vice Mayor Steve Graber.
Thank you, Mayor. Quite literally, I had Touch a Truck on the 18th and looking forward to 2025 and being able to serve the people of Old, I swear to God, it's right here. But
Should have gone first.
well, I wasn't told to. But that's all right. I just, I know the Christmas song, Mom and Dad Could Hardly Wait for School to Start Again. That was apropos in our house, and just thankful to the teachers and all the administrators at both of our elementary schools and everywhere, to be honest. Because they had the break too, and so they're dealing with their own families and dealing with their own travel, and then they come back and it's like, hey, here's a classroom full of 6-year-olds. And so but it's nice and peaceful and quiet, thankfully. But I was able to spend some time while we were with my mom and dad this weekend. Missed them on Christmas. They were out at my brother's in California, but they were in town. Drove down, we got lunch, and the reason I bring that up is day after tomorrow, my mom is celebrating her 77th birthday. So happy birthday, Mom. But that's all I had, Mayor. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. All right, Councilmember Valerie Tadezewski.
Inside joke.
All right. I wanted to mention and shout out our January highlights calendar that I'm very excited about. So I've been hearing probably for years, even before I was on council, about, we used to send out a little, you can't see it, sorry. I don't know if you guys want to zoom in on it.
Yeah.
It's a calendar of just like highlights of what's going on in the city. So we've been hearing that, I've personally been hearing that people miss the insert that came in our water bill that we no longer provide. And this is a response to that request. So because especially in December, we get a lot of events. It's hard to keep track of them all, try to put them all in your calendar if we see them pop up online or social media. This is a great way to have it on your refrigerator. It's available on the city's website. If you go to the city's website and search for the highlight calendar, it'll pop you up a link. It's also on our Facebook. I don't know if it's somewhere else I should mention, but yeah, it's in those couple of places. I'll be sharing it from my Facebook as well. You can click on it from your phone and take a screenshot so it's handy and you can look at it. You can also print it out and put it on your calendar. I'm going to be doing both. And anyway, I'm very excited about it. It's kind of like a little pet project. It's something that I wanted to do that I've talked to a lot of people about, and so I'm very excited. And I'm proud of our staff for putting this together. So thank you for doing that, Felicia, and your staff. You guys did a great job. In addition to that, I don't think I mentioned it in December, but I did apply to serve again on city council, and I was unopposed, and so I will be sitting on city council again starting in March for a full 3-year term, and so I'm excited to be serving the people of Oldsmar for 2025 as well and beyond. That's it. Happy New Year.
Congratulations, good job. And I like the calendar, I'm excited about it. I just want to say Happy New Year to everybody. And last week I was up in Buffalo, New York. It was 22 degrees every day, and I don't miss it. I'm glad it's going to be only 40 tonight, but that's still cold. But 22, wind chill of 2 for the whole week was very cold. I didn't enjoy that. Is there a way we can get a copy of that magazine? Or?
For the
Yeah,
FRPA magazine,
yeah.
we only have one copy.
There's only one
So-
copy that can be.
Okay. Well, then I brought the hat,
Uh-oh.
the cherished hat. Water Buffalo Club 716, handmade in Buffalo, New York for the Buffalo Bills.
That's right.
Buffalo Bills and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl. I can feel it. We're gonna have it.
I don't know. I almost had a heart attack in the Saints game.
We're gonna get there. The Buffalo Bills and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I can feel it. And this is the first weekend, and if the Bills win, I'm bringing this back at the next council meeting.
Well, if they lose, you could bring it to my house and I'll find something to do.
Your kids will take it. All right, that's all I had, and now the next item is our, consider approval of the tentative agenda for the January 21st, 2025 council meeting. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Happy New Year.